Hello. Are you feeling overwhelmed? Is your life feeling stuck? A bit out of control perhaps? Do you need a new perspective? If that's you, then or you know someone it is, then perhaps I can help. Over the next minute or so, I will try and offer some new way of seeing your life and your situation. My name is Colin. I'm a counsellor and neighbourhood chaplain, and I live and work in the Leighton Buzzard and Dunstable area. Let me tell you a true story, a quick story. Some years ago, an art critic was studying a painting by a famous artist at the National Gallery. As he looked at the picture, he noticed the proportions of the picture were very wrong, it seemed to him. He couldn't understand why. Then it occurred to him that the problem wasn't the painting at all. I mean, after all, the artist was a brilliantly skilled painter. Perhaps the problem was with him and how he was seeing things. He asked himself the question, what if this painting had never been meant to be hung in a gallery like this? After all, it was a commissioned piece of work for a prayer chapel back in the 1500s in Italy. So he tried an experiment. He was in a public gallery, so a bit self-consciously, I expect he dropped to his knees, and as he looked up, his perspective was so different, and the picture came into focus in a new way. Everything was in proportion, and there was nothing out of place in the way it was when he looked at it before. The work of art really didn't make sense until he got on his knees in prayer, and I think there's a lesson in perspective for us that we can take away from this. You know, we're all influenced by our culture from a very young age, and what we think is important in life, our hopes and dreams, and what we measure ourselves by, how we value ourselves, all comes from our culture and the way we're brought up. And as we live in such a commercial world, driven by fashion, money, success, consumerism, we think that's how we should live our lives and how that will make us fulfilled. But is that true? Is that actually happening? Or is that our culture toxic? Because the number of mental health problems in our society goes up year on year. Putting COVID aside, anxiety is going up as well. But God has given us an alternative way of living. And He has a plan for us and wants us to be able to live differently, to think differently, to have a different approach and values, and to see ourselves differently. He wants us to have happy, fulfilled lives. Life in all its fullness, Jesus said. And the Bible can really help us. The Bible was written for people like you and me to see that our lives are in the hands of a caring God. There's many stories, many examples, many characters in the Bible where we see this happening. That God is watching over us and caring for us. And it's a different way of seeing the world, our lives, others' lives, and valuing ourselves, which does really make a difference and brings peace. My calendar this month has these words: forget the former things and do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. These are the words of God written down, inspired words written down by somebody many years ago, and you find them in Isaiah in the Bible. Great encouragement for us not to let past problems overwhelm us and influence us. This is not saying that we pretend unpleasant things haven't happened in the past and hide them away, but it's trying to see them differently. It's like with that picture I just spoke about of the famous artist. Couldn't really see that until he got on his knees, and we can't really see the world as God intended until we come before Him and we're on our knees. We pray to Him and let Him give us a new perspective. We read the Bible, which He's inspired for us, so giving us a guidebook there to help us. And in Jesus, we find somebody we can confide in. He is someone who's accepting and who will take our burdens. We can offload them to Him. He says He will carry our burdens, whatever burdens they are. And on our knees, we can see the world and our lives from God's perspective rather than from our society's perspective or from our perspective. And that will help us to find our place in the world and help us get distance from our personal problems and worries and all the bad news that we're seeing around at the moment. May God bless you. Thank you.